Hey, how's everybody doing? I'm Pastor Sean Strickland here with my super cute husband, Pastor Edwin, and we are here for Relationships 101. And we would like to welcome you. This is our 12th Relationships 101 of the year. We have done an amazing job of being consistent with this. We've had people who've rocked with us every single time, and we're super excited. And we want to thank you for taking this first year journey with us in an attempt to help improve relationships. Now, what we need you to do right now is some social media outreach. We need you to love the broadcast. Forget like, don't like it, love it. We need you to tag your friends, and then we need you to share this to your page and to your story. Let's see who we have here. We've got Tracy. It was so good to see you Sunday, and you too, Courtney, and you too, Sheila. Then we've got Melissa from Bonita, Oklahoma. We've got Dexter K. Lee. So I want to know if you're watching with somebody, if you're watching with your cousin, if you're watching with your best friend, if you're watching with your spouse, can you drop that in the comments and be like, yes, this is who I'm watching with. I am super excited about tonight, but we want to do some social media outreach, let everybody know that we are out here, that we are ready, because tonight we're going to be talking about a very interesting subject in light of the holidays, and it is the 10 ways to de-stress your holidays. 10 ways to de-stress your holidays. How many of you are looking to de-stress your holidays? You like, I want to de-stress my holidays. I want to have an amazing time. I want to enjoy my husband, enjoy my kids, enjoy the dog, whoever, but I want to de-stress it. We got Misha from Bixby, Oklahoma, and Sonia from Miami. She's traveling. You're in a great place. It's warm where you are.
We got a couple of Oklahoma people in the house.
The Oklahoma people in the house. I was like, Bonita, you see that sometimes on 4029, they'll talk about something that happened in Bonita, Oklahoma.
I used to see it all the time when I was headed toward Muskogee, because you go left, you go to Muskogee, and you go right off the turnpike, you head toward Bonita.
Lakeisha says she is from Jersey. She says, hey, I'm watching by myself. Well, you're watching. You got all of us with you, even though nobody's there with you. We're super excited. Now, where are our YouTube people, and where are our guys? Erica said, I'm watching with my husband from North Little Rock. We are not stressed from the holidays. You guys are also empty nesters who will get on the road and just take a trip, Erica. So, I mean, listen, if somebody stress y'all out, y'all might just wake up in Jamaica, right? We got the Pastor Ralph, the Marlows watching from Facebook. We're just super excited to be here. We got Destiny from Lansing, Michigan. It is an amazing time. And so grab somebody, tag them, and say, come and let's talk about how to de-stress our holidays. I was reading something the other day that holidays are one of the most stressful times for people. It is stressful because of preparation. It is stressful because of parties, about travel, being in different spaces. But there are some things we can do to minimize the stress for that. So you talk for a second, because I got some people I need to tag to make sure they're not stressed out this holiday season.
Yeah, I'm excited again to be here. Thank you all for those of you who have made it out, whether this is your first Relationships 101 or your 6th or your 12th. Relationship 101. We appreciate you being in the house tonight. We are going to be talking about 10 ways to de-stress your holidays. One of the reasons I also believe that people get so stressed around the holidays is because sometimes we allow unnecessary expectations to be put on us, or we put unnecessary expectations on other people. And in doing so, that can cause a lot of stress. It can cause a lot of consternation. There are people who really we seem like we are forced to spend time with this time of the year, who we may not spend as much time with the rest of the year. And there's probably reasons for that. And so it's just important that as we go into this holiday season, I know we talked a little bit about what we needed to do to get through and enjoy Thanksgiving. But now we've got Christmas coming up. Kids are going to be out of school for longer periods of time. More families are going to be together. I see on Facebook a lot of people talking about how things aren't what they used to be. And I can contest to that. When I was little, it was my grandmother and grandfather on both sides, my mother's parents, my father's parents, they literally lived across the railroad tracks from each other. One set of grandparents had 9 kids, one set of grandparents had 7. So I grew up with so many cousins, and we would all convene at my Meemaw's house. Well, Meemaw's gone on to be with the Lord. A lot of those cousins and stuff, we live all across the country. So we don't get together like we used to. We used to be probably 15, literally 15 or 16 cousins, all the aunts and uncles and my grandparents, and we would all get together on Christmas Eve. And we would bring all of our gifts to my grandparents' house, and then all the kids would exchange gifts with their families and stuff. And it was just a huge thing. And then we'd go home, and then we'd open up our personal gifts from our parents on Christmas morning. And that was my life. That's what I knew from the earliest memory I had when I got my first Oscar the Grouch in the trash can. A toy that I loved so much. I love Oscar. I still love Oscar the Grouch. I love him, and I love the Grinch. I think they just misunderstood. And from a young age, we used to do that. Well, I don't get to do that anymore, but I do get to spend Christmas with you. I do get to spend Christmas with my kids and with the people who I've made my family. And I don't have to be stressed because it's not what it used to be. And I think one of the things we'll talk about tonight is just what are the things that we can do so that we don't stress ourselves, our spouses, our kids, our family members out, so that when Christmas is over, we still have to deal with the fallout of all of the craziness that happened. Because if Jesus is the reason for the season, we should not be angry and contort toward one another throughout this whole time, right?
I think that's really good. We're going to have a really good time talking about this tonight, but I think here's an interesting thing. I saw this the other day and I thought it was fascinating. And they were talking about people who are in their 40s who are still asking questions like, who got the dressing and who got the turkey, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the person said, it's you.
Right.
No,
right,
it's you.
Right. You're 40 now.
And you. And so what I think is interesting is that they were saying that one of the reasons that people are stressed is that they don't seem to have an understanding that the Christmas you had at 10 is not the Christmas you're going to have at 50.
Right.
And so what happens is that, one of the things that we love about Jordan is that Jordan is so matter of fact, and she's always like, this is the circle of life, right? That there seems to be a generation that's not understanding the circle of life, right? And they're not understanding that the amazing memories that you talk about having, you have them because your grandmother, your Meemaw, was willing to host everybody at her house.
Right.
Your other grandma was willing to host everybody at her house. And so what they were saying that
she would, but it's okay.
She was.
She wouldn't. It was my Meemaw.
Did nobody go to your grandma's Strickland house?
No.
Okay. Well, okay. Right.
But it's okay.
Okay, my bad. You know what? Come to think of it, I never went to.
No,
well, I didn't know. But no. Okay. But here's the point. That as we get older, we have to move on from the past and build something beautiful.
Create new memories.
And a lot of people are miserable because they're 43 trying to live in the memories of what happened when they were 10.
My God, today.
And that can create a lot of unnecessary stress.
Okay.
And you don't have to be stressed out. So here's the question I want to know as we jump into this, and thank you guys. You're still inviting people. We appreciate that. We see the numbers climbing up. I want to know your dinner. Is your Christmas dinner traditional or non-traditional?
You're asking the people.
I'm asking the people. Is your dinner traditional or non-traditional? Do you have a traditional or a non-traditional dinner? Now, at least in the South, a more traditional dinner is just a duplicate of Christmas dinner. It's just modified a little bit, right? But do you have a traditional dinner at your house? Do you have a non-traditional dinner? I love the Marlows. Elkie says they have traditional for sure. Keith Barnes says non-traditional. And Ralph Marlowe says both, whatever we are feeling, right? I also want to know this. Here's my next question. Who has ever done a destination Christmas?
I know we've done destination things. Have we done
We've never done a destination
Christmas, but we should. We should do a destination Christmas. We've done Destination Thanksgiving, right?
We've done
But not
and
Christmas.
Destination Thanksgiving changed our life.
It did.
Oh, Destination Thanksgiving changed our
Especially the first
lives.
time we did Destination Thanksgiving and we went to the amusement park, Universal Studios, whatever it's called. And it was like almost no lines.
No, that first Thanksgiving at Universal Studios when it's 72 degrees
Oh.
and we're standing in the park eating turkey legs. That is our Thanksgiving dinner.
And it was no lines.
No lines. Now, but listen,
But we need to do a destination.
I think we need to do a destination Christmas. BJ says they have done a destination Christmas, right? Carrie says never done a destination Christmas, but we plan on going to a country in Africa next year.
Ooh,
that's
that's
cool.
dope.
Carrie, let us know where y'all
Yeah,
going. Let us know where holla. Tell your friends where you're going, right?
Let us know.
Erica says our dinner is traditional because babe, mom still cook everything. Every year I talk her out of it, but she ain't having it. Tina says non-traditional for sure. Now, here's my last question, and we're going to jump into it because we're just trying to get to know each other, right? What is one of the must-have? Do you have a must-have on your dinner plate for Thanksgiving? I mean, for Christmas. A must-have. A must-have. I think we have one must-have in our house.
Do we?
We do. Not for you, but for the kids. We actually have two. No matter what Christmas it is,
hold on. I need to pay attention because I don't know.
You
I need to pay attention. So somebody look. People are saying dressing, seafood. Now somebody saying seafood. Y'all got to be East Coast. Is that East Coast? If you saying seafood, somebody said real dressing. Now no stuffing, mac and cheese. Somebody said barbecue real.
He said food. He said what's on the menu is food.
Look, bruh said some food. Gumbo, you down south? Are you New Orleans or somewhere?
Tracy said after cooking all day, I don't want to eat. And
I get it. But Tracy.
I also think that that's one of the things that ends up stealing a lot of joy, right? Okay. Kim Dennis's husband said a stuffed ham. I don't even know what a stuffed ham is.
What's a stuffed ham?
I don't know what stuffed ham is, right? Carrie said desserts, banana pudding, sweet potato pie, and pound cake, right?
Somebody tell me what a stuffed ham is.
Lindsay said gumbo. Hey, Lindsay, we miss you. Crystal said mustard greens.
I mean, that's good. Somebody said it's the dessert for me.
Right. So can you guess what's on our list?
I know one of the things that the kids are gonna always ask you for. I could be wrong.
If we home,
if they all home together, they're gonna ask you to fry them some chicken.
They're gonna ask for fried chicken.
They're gonna ask you. They're gonna ask you.
This is true.
They ain't gonna ask for fried chicken. If we are all home, those kids are going to ask you to fry them some chicken.
Yes.
They don't want it from nowhere else, and they don't really particularly care. Remember that time somebody, I ain't gonna say who, came to our house and you had seasoned the chicken and they were trying to help you out and they cooked it and the kids got so mad.
And then I had to cook them some chicken the next day. I was like, guys, just work through it.
They were
okay.
so mad that somebody would come to our house and cook, trying to help you out and cook that chicken. They wanted your chicken.
They did.
So what's the second one?
Pound cake.
Oh, pound cake.
They're gonna ask for pound cake.
I don't eat a lot of cake, so that's
right. But then this sweet potato pie.
Yeah.
Because you know what came in my memories yesterday?
What's that?
Well, it was from Thanksgiving last year.
Oh, brunch for Christmas. We need to go to a warm, exotic place and have brunch for Christmas.
I felt God on that. Jermaine.
You just spoke a word.
You just spoke a word. I feel that. Right.
I perceive you to be a prophet.
Okay. Kim said it's a Southern Maryland thing. They put slits in the ham and stuff it with greens, cabbage, onions, and seasoning.
Oh, wow.
Carrie says, I always do my famous overnight French toast for all holidays and birthdays. Well, the thing about it is, if you guys may have seen the picture last year, is that Edwin does not eat the crust of the sweet potato pie.
I do not.
So literally, he has to get his own pie.
Because I use a spoon to eat sweet potato. I spoon out the inside. I don't like the crust. I don't like, and it's not just yours. I just don't like crust. I don't like crust on pie.
Every year that you do that, you know what I think?
I try to do it at night when y'all sleep, so no one gets upset. You know what I think?
Every year when you do that, you need a whooping. I say you need a whooping. Who in the world eats and I put a picture up last year. he leaves the crust
The intact, the whole crust. I eat the bottom of it. I'll eat out because so I'll scoop it from the side down by the crust, and I'll eat all that piece. But I don't like that rim, the crust on that hard part. I don't eat
She said that's called a sweet potato pone, not a pie.
that. Well, that's what I
Okay,
like.
so here's my last question. We go jump into our 10 things.
keep
What
tagging,
is,
keep tagging, sharing.
if you could have Christmas anywhere doing anything, where would you like to do Christmas?
So it's gonna be like a 12-second lag for them. So I'm gonna go ahead and answer.
Okay.
I want to experience Christmas in Australia at least once. And here's why. I want to go to Australia and I want to celebrate Christmas. And I want to stay there until their new year. I want to get on a plane and I want to fly from Australia to Las Vegas so that I can celebrate my birthday on January the 1st in Australia and then also celebrate my birthday on January 1st in Las Vegas. I've already mapped it out. I know the flights that we would need to take in order to do it. So I want to spend Christmas in Australia, stay there to January 1st, celebrate my birthday, hop on a plane, fly back into town because that's what we'll be doing. And when we get to Las Vegas, celebrate my birthday again. Boom. All right, what y'all got? Somebody say want to go to, what is that, Lagos, Nigeria? And you just say a thing today that ain't
Oh
no,
my God.
ain't no rich like
they said
Lagos
there's
rich?
ain't no rich like Legos.
Is that how you said Lagos rich?
Yeah. BJ says Christmas in Paris. I want to be near the Eiffel Tower.
Mm.
I knew this is Kim. Kim Dennis says she wants to go to a hallmarkish kind of town. Listen, I want to go to a hallmarkish kind of town with Kim so we can act out a Hallmark movie for a real. Jermaine says he wants Dubai, right? Listen,
Dexter wants to cruise.
Dexter wants a cruise. So here's the question you should ask yourself. What's stopping you?
What's stopping you?
You should ask yourself, what's stopping you? What's stopping
For me,
you?
it's been these kids, but they about to be living their own life now.
And I only say that because we spend a lot of time as people with desires in our life that we don't ever live out.
Yeah.
And what we really say is we say, oh, it's the money. Oh, it's the kids. But the truth of it is that that's not true.
That's true.
It's that we don't always make those things priority. We don't position ourselves for the things we actually say we want.
Yeah.
What I submit
sometimes
is that
we don't even position ourselves to have the money to get it so that we could do those things. So you're right. All of that is about positioning and about us seeing things as being limited rather than possibility.
Absolutely, because the research tells us that many people spend more time maintaining a life they don't want than investing in the life they do want.
That's true.
So some of the stress that people have is that because they are continuing to do traditions that don't serve them. They're continuing to do traditions because somehow we believe if Big Mama always did it this way, if Aunt Bet you always did it this way, that's what we need to do to be honorable. Instead of saying what we want to do is we want to build beautiful traditions, even though those beautiful traditions may look different than the traditions that shaped us.
Yes, absolutely.
So I think we're ready to jump in. Are y'all ready for this? I think you're ready to jump in because we're talking about 10 ways to de-stress your holidays. 10 ways to de-stress your holidays. I'm going to take number 1. Are y'all ready? Let's pray. Most gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, help us to have great holidays. Help us to be able to be appreciative of what we have, to be able to have healthy boundaries, to be able to enjoy the moments, to be able to focus on the people that we're with, not the people that we're not with, and to be able to have a time that really celebrates the real meaning of the season, which is Christ, which is family, and which is love. In Jesus' name, amen.
Now, as we get started, you guys go ahead one more time. If you haven't, make sure you like this broadcast. We have a lot more viewers than we have likes. And so you should be able to just click that like button real quick. You clicking that like button helps the analytics go up, and the people who have watched this before know that we're on live, and Facebook and YouTube does their thing. So help us out by making sure you are clicking that like button. I just saw 5 or 6 of them pop up. So there you go. Appreciate you guys doing that. Keep doing that. Make sure you have liked the broadcast and shared it.
Well, you remember when we first started doing this, when God put it in your heart to do this, we
Yeah.
talked about we wanted to normalize healthy
Mm-hmm.
relationships. And we talked about how normalizing healthy relationships wasn't just marriage. We wanted to normalize all types of healthy relationships,
Yep.
right? And one of the things that we have purposed in our life to do is to build beautiful traditions. Can everybody put that in the comments? Build beautiful traditions.
Amen.
And beautiful traditions are not just pretty things. They are things that leave you with a great sense of satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
We want to build beautiful traditions.
Yes.
I love Sonya said, click like, subscribe, and hit all on the bell. She said, do it all.
Do it all.
So we want to build beautiful traditions,
Yes.
right? And as we get older, and the people who helped us build beautiful traditions, if we had those, as they transition, we have to give ourselves permission to create a new generation of beautiful traditions.
I love that. A new generation of
A
beautiful
new generation of beautiful traditions. We need to understand it is not an insult to say that we don't choose to do it the way Big Mama did.
Right.
That's not an
Right.
insult.
Right. We're not crapping on the fact that we don't all gather at Mimo's house anymore.
Right.
What we had then was a beautiful tradition. And now all the cousins, I hope, are building new beautiful traditions with their friends and family.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
right? But also one of the differences too, which is why we don't need to live in this place of regret and comparison. The difference is that most of Mima's kids, they lived close.
Sure, right.
But all the cousins don't live close.
No.
So having an expectation that you're going to be able to duplicate what you actually aren't duplicating is just going to lead to frustration.
That's true. That's
so
true.
Is this making sense to you
So
guys?
true.
So we want to create beautiful traditions. We can take the components of something that came from my grandmother and something that came from your Mima and something that came from your family, and we can add on to it and put the camp strict twist on it, and understand that our kids are going to go out and do the same thing, and that is okay. Can everybody put this in the comments? It's okay to shift.
It's okay to shift. That's literally, Lakeisha said she was just having that conversation with her sister today. You know, hey, things change. It's okay to shift.
And I think that is some of the stress that people have, is that they won't give themselves permission to shift.
Yeah.
And I remember one of my big moments was that I had cooked a traditional Thanksgiving dinner. And baby, I had stayed up and worked hard and started 2 days all day. And baby, I had put my back in it. And then nobody hardly ate. And you know what them kids had the nerve to look me in my face to say, we don't even like this kind of food.
Yeah.
I was 38 hot. But all I could really do was be hot at myself.
Because I remember that, because you actually cooked a lot of food that I didn't like. I mean, it was like, I'm sure other people love it. Cornbread, it was some greens. I think you had made some at that time. I didn't eat cabbage. I think you made mac and cheese, but it wasn't the mac and cheese you make now. We know that's transition. It's okay to shift. You shifted to mac and cheese because you grew up cooking. No, seriously, you grew up cooking mac and cheese how?
In the oven.
In the oven,
and
right?
y'all do not
and
like
we don't
oven.
like mac and cheese in the oven. I don't like it like that. Kids don't like it like that.
Chase will eat anything.
Chase will eat it because he's one of them kids who's gonna please you. The rest of us be like, we don't like this.
So basically, basically, if your people rude, show don't be doing no extra stuff, okay?
But we like stovetop. We like stovetop mac and cheese, and not that Velveeta. We want you to do the mac. We want you to do the elbow.
You want to do all the steps, except for putting it.
Don't put it in the oven for us,
right?
And I know you haven't done this, but we also don't like no breadcrumbs on our mac and cheese.
I've never done that, but y'all get worked up about breadcrumbs.
So it's okay to shift.
Which leads me to this thing I said the other day about Thanksgiving that I think everybody needs to realize. It's so funny to me.
Yes.
Everybody comes out and they're talking about how great their food is, and they're judging, you light-skinned sweet potato pie people judging dark-skinned sweet potato pie people. And it is this arrogance that makes you think your food is the best. The truth of it is you like a lot of what you like because that's what you were exposed to. And I just want to tell everybody this. I love greens, dressing, and sweet potatoes. I love that.
Yeah.
But I want y'all to know this. That look a mess on everybody's Facebook page. I want you to know this. I know it looked good to you. It looked good to you because the people you love cooked it or you cooked it. I want you to know that when we look at everybody's, when you mix them greens beside them sweet potatoes and that juice is
And them
running
yams
and
all
that
on there.
dressing, sweet potatoes and yams,
Oh, okay, that
okay,
same thing.
mac
Oh.
and cheese. And when you put all of that together and put that meat on top of it, it looked gross to everybody. So to me, what's hilarious is that you're looking at somebody else's food. It do look a mess on Facebook. And so everybody's out here like, I know she ain't put that ugly food up, and people looking at your thing talking about your food look gross.
But you
too.
think yours look like something out of a magazine.
You think
but
it
it looked
do.
like that to you, not to the other
It do.
people.
So you could just, so you know what I wish everybody else would do too? I wish people would chill out.
Yes.
I wish people would chill out. I wish you would
let people live.
I wish you, this is what I think, what I wish. I wish y'all would let people put up their Christmas trees without your commentary. I wish you let people turn their lights on without your commentary.
Let them keep their Christmas trees up as long as they want to.
Without your commentary. You know what else? Because some of y'all is stressed. A guy actually said this to me. He said, you just helped me realize I'm over here stressed about stuff that ain't my business. Because how are you stressed about somebody else's Christmas tree? It ain't even your wife's Christmas tree. It's still neighbor's Christmas tree. You know what you should do? What Santry say? You should mind the business that pays you.
And
drink your water and take care of your edges. That's what you should do. I wish that because the truth of it is that people don't even realize that is also a form of stress. When I'm looking at somebody else's page, like this, can I ask y'all honest to goodness, why in the world do you care how long somebody eat their
Thanksgiving leftovers? It don't matter to you. When you meal prepping and you fixing something on Sunday, eating it till the next Sunday.
Why do you?
What's the difference?
But if you make fresh food every day, why do you care that somebody else is still eating their dressing? What does it have to do with you? And it bothers me from the work that I do, because what I realize is that people use commentating on other people's lives a lot to avoid fixing their own life.
Well, see, it bothers you. It actually don't even bother me. I don't care whether they commentate or not. I just literally don't care. I don't have time to be concerned with other people's concerns about someone else's concern. I just stay in my own lane.
Yeah, it bugs me. It bugs me because often it's the same people who are commentating on somebody else's dressing that's telling me that they don't have money to go on vacation. And I'm just saying that if you wanted to go on vacation and you ain't got it, you ain't really got time to be commenting on other people's lives.
Well,
okay, let's go. Okay. So anyway, talk about it. This is real talk with the Stricklands, okay, right? So 10 ways to distress your holidays. Number 1, set realistic expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Set realistic expectations. Understand that family gatherings are not always picture perfect. Now, one of the things that we say all the time is that life doesn't have to be perfect to be amazing.
Yeah.
Life doesn't have to be perfect to be amazing. So Christmas celebrations and Thanksgiving celebrations and family gatherings do not have to be perfect to be amazing. It's going to be somebody who do not want to wear the Christmas pajamas.
Yeah.
It is going to be somebody who is going to be late to dinner. Set realistic expectations. Your real family is not a Hallmark movie.
Right.
And even those Hallmark movies had many takes for that perfection that you see.
That's right.
So set realistic expectations. Accept that there may be conflicts or imperfection, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I love what Shavandra says. Expect that you may not get to see everyone. This Thanksgiving, we only got to see Jordan and Canaan. The older kids did not come home. And so many people were like, what did you do without the older kids? We ate dinner, because what was we going to do, be hungry?
The other thing we didn't do that I don't like that people do is people try to make other people feel bad. The fact of the matter is, it wasn't going to be easy for the older 3 to come home and have to get back to what they were doing during that Thanksgiving time. It was going to be better for them to be able to come home for Christmas where they had more time. Seasons change. And that's okay. What did you say earlier? It's okay to shift. So we shifted from having 7 people at the house for Thanksgiving to having the 4 of us. And guess what? It was still amazing. It was still amazing. We were able to call the other kids on FaceTime to make sure they were okay, to see how they were doing, talk about, what we're all thankful for and those kind of things. It was different, but it was still amazing.
So everybody put this in the comments. Seasons change.
Seasons change.
Sometimes the frustration is because you're still wanting the nostalgia of when your kids were under 10 and they're in their 30s.
And that's not a realistic
That is not realistic.
And you create stress on yourself for trying to find ways to capture moments from when they were 10, when they're 30. And you're just stressing yourself out. So you got to set realistic expectations.
Like I remember the very first Christmas that all of our kids, that no kid got a toy. That was a different Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
It was a different kind of Christmas.
They got gifts, but not toys.
They got nobody. Everybody was toyed out. They had transitioned out of toys.
No dolls, no trains, no games.
So Christmas looked different, but it doesn't mean it can't be beautiful. Different can be beautiful. It doesn't have to be perfect. And sometimes the people who are trying to make it perfect, can I be honest with y'all? Y'all are the ones that's really stressing everybody else out.
Yeah. And yourself sometimes. You're stressing yourself out and everybody else.
You're stressing yourself out and you're stressing everybody else out. You're stressing yourself out and you're stressing everybody else out. And I think what a lot of people don't realize is that when you begin to do that, you begin to create space where even people who want to come around don't come around because they don't want to engage in that. Like, for example, if you are tired of cooking a big dinner and you go be angry and slamming pots and then mad because the people didn't eat the food, then stop. Because you are the one who, they're not ruining the moment. You're ruining the moment by continuing to try to force a dinner down them that they don't want and overcooking and being stressed out.
And if you're the one doing all the cooking and you really don't enjoy that, but you also feel like nobody else can do it like you, deal with that. Deal with that, because some people are doing things because they feel like somebody else can't do it, but yet they don't get any gratification out of doing it. So you're mad that you got to do all the cooking, but when someone tries to help you, you tell them, no, get out the kitchen. You don't know what you're doing.
You talking about yourself?
No, I'm not talking
about
you.
No, you don't get mad, but you do put us out the kitchen.
I put you out the kitchen because I don't need help in that area, but I don't ever be slamming pots and stuff. I don't do that. But I know there are people who actually literally don't enjoy cooking, and then they're mad when someone tries to help. I'm the kind of person that realistically, if I want your help, I'll ask for it. If I don't need your help, I really don't want you in there. But if I don't want to do it, I also won't do it.
But here's a beautiful way the seasons change. Over the pandemic, you really tapped into the fact that you love to cook.
I always have loved it.
And I really tapped into the fact that I don't. Right? I like to bake. I don't like to cook. We literally gave each other permission to seamlessly slide into new spaces. So for Thanksgiving, you cooked everything but the mac and cheese. I cooked the mac and cheese. You cooked everything but the mac and cheese. Seasons change, and it's okay to create new traditions. Does anybody understand what we're saying? I love what Lakeisha said. Lakeisha said because she's shifting, this Christmas she isn't going with her family. Now, that doesn't mean she will always do that.
And it didn't mean she's angry at her family. It's just something different. It's something new. She's making a different decision. And it's okay because seasons change and it's okay to shift. Right?
Yes.
And I think one of the things that happens when seasons change and when seasons change and we begin to shift, it's important that we effectively communicate those changes and those shifts with others. So here's another way to de-stress your holiday, right? Or to de-stress your life, really, anytime. Use effective communication. Effective communication is so extremely important because it allows you to express your thoughts and your feelings calmly and respectfully. I remember early, when we got married, because we got married in August of 1994. Well, we had to decide early, what are we going to do for Thanksgiving, right? Because my family, I had a big family and they gathered for Thanksgiving. And while your family wasn't huge, you had an extended family and y'all gathered for Thanksgiving. And then what we're going to do about Christmas? My family did this on the 24th. What your grandmother had an expectation kind of that you and Pumpkin and the rest of y'all will be there for Christmas. What are we going to do? So we had to effectively talk through that. We had to talk through that and decide that. And at one point down the road, it got to the place where we go, you know what? We're not going to put all the Christmas gifts and stuff in our car and go to Conway and then down to Fordyce. We want to celebrate Christmas at our house. We want our kids to wake up on Christmas morning and all that stuff we spent all night on the 24th putting together after they went to bed. We want them to experience it in the house. That was a season of change. But we didn't just not show up to your grandma's house. We didn't just not show up to Meemaw's house. We communicated and said, guys, here's what we're going to be doing this Christmas, and here's why. Did everybody like it? No. Did everybody say, oh, that's great? Somebody said, man, bring that stuff on down here. They're not them kids down here with their cousin, blah, 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 at least on my side. And I simply said no.
You're very good at no. But here's the thing. Here's where the first place seasons changed for me. Your family was the first family I knew that did the Christmas Eve thing, which actually ended up being perfect for us because we would do Christmas Eve at Meemaw and then go to my grandmother's house, right? But then Christmas also changed after my grandmother passed because after my grandmother passed, there wasn't a reason for me to pack my kids up and put them in the car because we only would have been doing that for her.
Right.
Then here's another place where seasons change for us. At some point, we had the biggest house.
Yes.
It did not make sense to take 5 kids and try to cram into a hotel room or cram into somebody's house. It just made sense to come see us because we had more space. Yeah. Sometimes people came, sometimes people didn't. But whatever, we still got to choose.
Because people used to say, well, we had to drive all the way up there to Fayetteville. It's the same difference from Conway to Fayetteville or Fordyce to Fayetteville as it is from Fayetteville to Conway or Fayetteville to Fordyce. It's the same distance. And so we would have to say that to them. But it was, again, communicating effectively, addressing any issues that may arise, and then talking about it in a place from a place of solution rather than argumentative, right?
We don't have to be argumentative. And people don't have to agree with our decision for us to say, this is the choice that we've made. The first couple of times that we decided to do a destination Christmas, Thanksgiving, we invited your mother and my mother to be able to come, right? Sometimes they've come, sometimes they haven't come. Now, what we do is because we know that they're older, we know it's just them, we offer we extend the invitation, but they're not obligated to take the invitation. They can say, you know what? My mom can say, listen, it will be fun, but I want to cook my own dinner because I want to watch football all on Thanksgiving. We got to love each other and stop stressing each other out because we don't all pick the same thing. Just because we don't pick the same thing doesn't mean we don't love each other.
And it's okay to talk about that. You don't have to feel like you got to hide it or just not show up. When you start ghosting people and doing those kind of things, that's the thing that starts to distort relationships. Be an adult, talk, communicate, say what it is that you're doing, and whether or not that is what someone else likes is really kind of irrelevant.
Absolutely.
But you communicate it in such a way, in a calm and effective way.
Are y'all getting something from this? Listen, are y'all going to implement some of this stuff if you haven't? And some of you, sometimes you have told people, it just wasn't effective communication.
Right.
It was communication with an attitude. It was communication with passive aggressive behavior.
Out of frustration.
It was communication out of frustration. So what we try to do is we try to communicate early so it's not a last minute kind of thing so that anybody is frustrated.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Okay. So then number 3, number 1 is you got to set realistic expectations. Number 2, you got to have effective communication. And number 3, you got to establish boundaries. You have to establish boundaries. Here's a great example. This is not true for either one of our families, but if it was true, let's say that you have a family and they like to drink and turn up for Christmas, but that is not something you want your kids to be exposed to. You do not want your kids to see drinking and turning up as a normal part of Christmas. You have the right to say, listen, we're going to come and we're going to leave before their turn up, right? Or if you guys turn up the whole day, we're not going to come. They also have the right to say, we don't care about your little kids. We drink in front of our kids and we go keep drinking. And then everybody has to make a decision about what their boundary is. Because I think this is something people miss. You were talking about boundaries today and it was such a good thing. Just because you
let me just say, if you missed Ed Talk today, you should really go back and watch that if you want to understand the importance of establishing boundaries and how to set those boundaries and how to be consistent. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Just because you present a boundary to somebody doesn't mean that they're going to modify. You might have to make a choice. They may not modify. They may say, we don't care nothing about the fact that you think them little Camp Street kids don't need to be around no alcohol. We drinks over here. Yeah. And then you got to decide what to do with that, right?
Because a boundary, I said this earlier, is not about controlling other people.
Oh, say it again.
A boundary is not about you controlling other people. A boundary is about you establishing rules or limitations or comforts around what you are willing to accept to have done to you, for you, or in your presence. It's not about controlling other people. So when we say, hey, if we're going to get together for Christmas, here's our expectations of what happens when we're together as a group. Somebody can say, well, you know what? That didn't work for me. I want to smoke weed when we're together. I smoke weed all the time. And so if we're gonna be together, you just gotta know I'm gonna smoke my weed. That's their boundary. My boundary is I don't hang around people smoking weed. So then one of us has got to make a choice. I ain't finna slap the joint out of his hand.
Because we can't control
I can't control other people. What I can control is where I am and in my presence. Now you say, well, oh, that's not fair. You didn't show up for Christmas. I didn't show up because you didn't allow space. And if you didn't allow space, that's your choice, but it's also my choice to have a boundary in place that protects me, my own self-being, my own self-worth. And that's the reason when we talk about boundaries, we talk about that it involves this idea of us limiting sometimes the duration that we have to spend with other people. It's like you said, y'all gonna turn up all day? We can't be there. You only gonna turn up after midnight? We can come, we'll be gone by 11.
Absolutely. And I think that this is important to say. It wasn't a part of our discussion, but we talk about it a lot. Part of setting boundaries must always be to protect your children. That is part of setting boundaries. So if you have people in your family that do sketch stuff and illegal stuff and things like touch children, your children should not be tasked with the responsibility of trying to stay away from Uncle Jay. It is your responsibility to say there is nothing happening at Christmas, Thanksgiving, or any other day that I am going to put my kids at risk for the sake of family. Because I love what you said. Because when they say, why didn't you show up? I love what you said. You said you didn't create space. Mm-hmm. How did you not create space? You keep allowing someone to come to Big Mama's house that touches kids. They have generationally touched kids, and I will not put my kids at risk for that.
Yes. That's called parenting 101.
But a lot of times people feel really guilty about that.
They do. We talked about today about where guilt comes from. Guilt comes from a place of you thinking you need to please other people. And I don't need to please anybody enough to put my child in jeopardy. I don't need to please anybody enough to put myself in jeopardy. I don't need to please anybody enough to make myself uncomfortable. I don't have to be uncomfortable. And I don't mean that in the sense that everything's got to be your way. I simply mean that I don't have to be in a space to be uncomfortable in order to make other people happy. I can have boundaries that protect me and those that I love.
Absolutely. Right.
Yep.
And I also don't have to go home to spaces where people are going to verbally abuse me.
Yeah.
I don't have to go to spaces. I'm not going to go in spaces where I know that my mama goes spend the whole time telling me I ain't nothing. We're not going to do that.
I don't have, and I think, I think you and I were so different on this, and I would think I was over here and you were over here. And I think we've come together in the middle. But like when I first met you, at least it was my perception of you that like, if an older person said something, you just kind of took it. Like if an older person said something rude to you, I mean, like really rude, did y'all just kind of just took it because they were older? I didn't grow up like that. I didn't grow up with this idea that because somebody was 60 and I was 21, that they could say rude things to me and I not tell them that that was rude, you know. And I think I'll maybe on the extreme of it. I think you were too, and we came to the middle. But I tell people all the time, you don't have to go home for the holidays to have somebody question when you're gonna be married, when you're gonna have a baby. Why will you gain? Oh, you sure looking big. Well, you sure looking old. I mean, if we just talking about what things look like, right? But so I think it's important.
I'm gonna respond. I'm gonna respond.
I think it's important. You don't want to say that, but I think it's important that we understand that people don't get to be disrespectful because they're older. That I have a boundary, and I don't have to let my self-esteem be attacked because you don't have anything better to do, and you 75 over there saying mean stuff.
Okay, so let me clarify. Let me clarify. And I think y'all just saw him demonstrate this, so I'm so glad that he demonstrated this. We could tell people that they were rude. You saying they look old, it's not telling them that they're rude. That's not the same thing. So
we were just talking about what things look like.
No, we're talking about this is what you really believe. You believe you had the right to joan old people. Okay.
If you joan me.
You believe you have the right.
You don't talk about me while you sit in that wheelchair? Really?
Edward.
We don't know what's going on here. Okay.
Come back.
All right.
Hey, do we have a commercial? Next season, we're going to have commercials. Right. But I'm saying my grandmother never taught us we couldn't say anything. Your difference was that you matched energy, where my grandmother taught us to say it's not okay to talk to me that way, which is why you felt like
that's
we were so extreme.
No, you're right, because I said I was way over here.
No, because your thing was clapping back. My thing was that for example, I would say to somebody in our family, I don't like when you say that to me, and you wouldn't like if I said the same thing to you. Yeah,
you're right. Because if they say, well, oh, you when you gonna get married? I'd be like, when you gonna get up? I mean,
Edwin,
no. I'm saying, I won't say that now. I won't say that now. I'm saying back in the day, you're right, and so that's not right. That's not right. You don't match energy.
I want you stuff.
You don't match energy, but you have to establish boundaries, though.
No, because I want to circle back to number 2. That effective communication is not a clapback.
You're right.
Effective communication is a communication that what you have said to me is inappropriate. Yep. And I think the difference between us is that you were not, I ain't gonna say you weren't taught. I'm gonna say I don't think you listened. I met your family, right? No, not Tiffany. See, that's your cousin. She talking about your mama fat. Y'all need help. I want you to stop that. But I'm saying effective communication is not matching energy. Effective communication is telling someone that they have crossed the boundary, and then creating consequences if they continue to do.
You're right.
And what you thought,
you're right.
I'm not saying your mama didn't teach you this, because I believe she did. What you thought is that everybody got the same energy, so you could treat an elderly person like a kid on the bus with you. And you probably still do a little bit, which is why I'm glad you got the Holy Ghost. Lord Jesus, ain't no telling what they go just
establish.
Somebody in the tribe just said, Pastor ain't got no filter. Ain't got no filter.
I'm just saying.
No filter.
I'm just saying.
No filter.
Saying. I ain't saying. Listen, I'm not telling you to tell nobody that. What I'm saying is.
Latoya said you was real quiet on that. She said when I tried to get you was real quiet on that.
I'm just trying to say that you need to establish boundaries, and part of establishing those boundaries is not just letting people just say any kind of thing. You ain't got to clap back. You want to use number 2. You want to use effective communication. You can say things like, "I feel harmed when I hear." Statements about why I'm not married yet. You can use those I
Struggling over there.
statements. You can use those I
You're
statements.
struggling over there, right? But I because I think the reality of it is that one of the things that I feel that my grandmother taught me, right, is that it is important to be honorable because that is what God requires of me, regardless to what other people do.
I agree.
Right.
I agree.
You agree in theory.
No,
it's the practice.
I don't.
It's the practice.
I said what I used to do. I haven't done that, and
that came up at you so fast.
Oh, it's
that
still
was
there. I don't do that though. I don't do that. I use my I statements and stuff now.
Right. And so listen, they tagging your other cousins in here now. They like, come over here and see how you're.
Listen, they gonna agree.
But I think you absolutely, but I will say this: everybody who grew up our generation really has to learn in order to communicate effectively without clapping back.
Yeah, I agree.
Because the truth of it is that our generation is a generation of strong clapback.
Yep.
It is how we survive the bus and the playground and the neighborhood. And I think that is important. But I am telling you, if you stop and think about it, most of the people you clap back on were not people that you went home with and had great relationships with. It is very difficult to have a great relationship with your uncle if he talking about how much you weigh and you talking about how he can't get up out the wheelchair. Right. That is very difficult to create a happy time, and it creates stress for the other people that are there.
Depending on the family, it certainly can.
Edwin, let's just move on to that. Listen.
It certainly can.
Let's just... Listen, Robin said, I know that Pastor Sean is right, but God knows my first response is Pastor Edwin.
Listen, we are all growing and becoming.
We are growing and becoming, but I want to make sure that we have a clear distinction between that, because I don't want people just going home and somebody say something to them and they like, well, Pastor Edwin said your mom,
Pastor
and
Edwin
then you don't went home and talked about people and mama, and now we got to counsel all of these people next week.
No, I'm talking about establishing clear boundaries. Go back. Don't focus on this little section. Go back and listen to Ed talk today, where we did a 90-minute teaching about establishing healthy boundaries. All right. Go back and listen to that.
Here's what's funny though, right? Because it's just like somebody telling you it don't matter what you eat. Like the people who want to clap back just needed a pastor to be like, baby, they
put that on Pastor Ed.
They walking in with they Coca-Cola, hoping somebody say they fat this year. Don't do that, guys. Right? So then number 4.
Number 4 is about self-care, right? And you can't use clapbacks as a form of self-care.
Help him, Lord. Help him, Lord.
So if you're not going to be stressed in this season, though, you do have to practice some forms of self-care. What do we mean? You got to be able to maintain your own well-being. You have to allocate time for activities that relax you and recharge you. If you got little kids and you got a lot of stuff you got to do for them and put stuff together and get the trees and all, Christmas is about a season of honoring those of us that are believers, the celebrated birth of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
Right? Hold on, the people ain't moved on. You need to see what's happening.
What's going on?
We may not even get through all.
What's happening?
Crystal said, "Pastor comes out at noon, Strick come out at night." Jerry said, "We can roast this holiday and you the turkey." I mean, listen, but let me tell you, because somebody said their family claps back. Now, the truth of it is, most people do not get to see this side of me because I've trained my side. But the truth of it is, my mouth is as quick as yours. Yeah. But what I have trained myself to do is to ask people, is this what you want to do? Because I want to be sure this is what you want to do, because I understand that when we begin to do that what it's going to do is that it's going to create, even if me and you are cool, it's going to create tension for the rest of the family. Now, so you got to let everybody take a deep breath.
Okay, y'all take a deep breath.
Everybody got to take a deep breath. No, literally. My question is, listen, we got a funny story. Everybody loves Strick.
Because typically, even in that situation, I typically add, because I'm going to help people, because I don't want people going out saying that Pastor Edward told him to clap back on their family.
You should have come tonight.
But here's what I typically do. If someone says something like that to me, or they trying to be funny in a family setting like that, I typically ask, "Oh, is that what we're doing?" That's tip. Because no. I do ask that question. I do. I say, "Is that what we're doing?" Because I want to.
We're your cousins.
Because people know if I ask, "Is that what we're doing?" What I'm really saying is, is this how we're going to engage? And most of the time, people go, "No, I was just playing." I go, "Okay, cool." And I let it go. I may slip something in every now and then.
Right. Right.
But I don't get them right back then.
So this is something that happened in our family. That's all about everything that we've talked about. Everybody in our family loves to make Strick laugh. Even Jordan wants a corny joke that Strick is going to laugh at. Everybody loves to make him laugh. I don't know where Chris is. Chris want to make him laugh. This
actually relates to self-care.
It does.
This talks about self-care.
Chris want to make him laugh. Tamara want to make him laugh. Everybody's looking for the thing. And what happened is that a couple of our kids decided that they were going to use me to get a joke.
I don't know if they decided.
They did.
I don't think they got together and said, "Let's use mama as a joke."
So what began to happen is, and I noticed it had happened over a couple of events, that we would get together, and what they were trying to do is that I was going to be the butt of their jokes to make Strick laugh. Oh, and everybody was he-heing, and it was real cute. And I said to Edwin, I said, "Now listen, when your little kids all get here for Thanksgiving," I did say your little kids, I said, "I am going to tell them that this is not wise, because this Thanksgiving, if this is what they do, I'm going to give them what they asked for." I said, "And this is the difference between me and your kids. I grew up on the bus and I know all my faults and they don't know any of theirs. And you're going to have to pay for their counsel when I get through to them, because I'm going to give them what they want." So we in the kitchen, somebody got friends over, and it all starts popping off. I'm not even talking, y'all. I'm making a pound cake. I'm minding my own business. And people start making their little jokes toward me. And I say, because I am the person who says, "Is this what you want to do?" To which Chase says, "Don't do that. Leave my mama alone. Don't do that." And so the rest of the weekend, everybody was very cautious about is this not what happened?
Yeah, it's what happened. But it's establishing a boundary. We talked about that.
It was
right?
establishing a boundary, and it was my form of self-care. But I was very clear to them that they really could not match me word for word, and it was not an endeavor they wanted to engage in. But had they continued, it would have been my obligation to teach them what happens when you play with grown folks, and I would have given them what they wanted.
That's kind of how I feel.
No, you don't do warnings and stuff.
I do.
You don't do.
I do warnings. I say, "Is this what we're doing?"
I'm always going to do warnings, because I don't want people crying and sad and hurt later.
Okay.
All right.
So that's a form of self-care.
That is.
You have to do what is necessary.
Well, because probably the form of self-care is that I'm not going to be the butt of your jokes.
Right.
That's part of the form of self-care, right?
Right.
And Tiffany said they went with self-care because they wanted to live and not get their feelings hurt.
Right.
See, everybody chose self-care.
But in order to get to that point, you have to remember what other things you have to do before that. You have to set realistic expectations with people, right? You have to say to people, "Look, I'm not 12 years old anymore. The way y'all used to talk around me and talk about me and talk about my neck being long and my head being big and all that when I was 12, we ain't going to do that no more." Okay, and I want everybody to know that, because if everybody got jokes, I got jokes.
Do y'all see how he trying to get us back?
I don't want to use my jokes, but I got them too, and I got some stuff wrong with me, but so does everybody else in the room. So I'm gonna set the expectation that we're not gonna be talking about each other. Okay, that's number one.
Good job.
Number two, right? I'm effectively communicating with you.
I'm going to establish boundaries.
Well, number two, I'm gonna communicate that if you cross this boundary,
here is
where we're gonna get this work.
But here is where we're different, though. Where we are different is that if somebody crosses the boundary, I'm gonna warn them the first time. I'm going to make sure that they wanted to come over the boundary.
I have warned you when I told you what the boundary was. It's like if I tell a kid, "Don't go in the street," and you go in the street, I don't have to tell you again, don't go in the street. I told you before you went in that street. If I come in and I tell everybody, listen, this is not going to be make jokes about Edwin vacation day or holiday. That is the effective communication. I have set the boundary. Now, when you cross that boundary, I am I'm praying to God.
You see how you shaking? Y'all see how this
I am praying
shaking
to
over
God that the Holy Spirit constrains me to not make you have to go to counseling when I get through joking with you the way you was joking with me. So we just say we're not going to engage that way.
So I think that this is really, but I think that this is really important because I think the thing I love about us is that we're laughing and joking, but we're also Holy Spirit led. And what happens is there are people who feel the way that you feel, but they've never communicated the boundary.
Right.
So what happens is some of you, the family thinks you're playing, and then you go nuclear, and then everybody thinks you went too far because you did not create a space that said you can't talk to me like I'm 12 anymore. Right. Do y'all understand what we're saying?
Right.
So what happens is they still think you're playing like you were when you're 16. A lot of times people do not say to people, you cannot continue to talk to me the way that you did, right? So you've got that pent up.
Don't talk to me about my weight anymore. Maybe you was chubby as a kid, you know, and they said, well, you still got that baby fat.
Whatever you thinking, Edwin Strickland. Whatever you thinking, don't you dare say it.
And see, so you have to tell people. You have to tell people.
Where is Pastor Strict today?
You have to tell people. Do not do that. Do not ask questions like that. That's rude. You know, that's not nice. You don't know what I'm struggling with. You don't know if I got a thyroid issue. You don't know what I got. You don't know. I'm serious. Because we're talking about how to de-stress for the holiday.
Yes, but do y'all understand? Do y'all understand? And I'm not even reading none of y'all comments. Do y'all understand?
All I see is a bunch of laughing emojis.
But do y'all understand that there are times that you may have been tired of what was normal in the family, and you went off and went nuclear, and nobody understood that you had shifted and said, we don't do this anymore.
Because you missed number 2, effective communication. You jumped right to 4, self-care. You jumped right to number 4. You forgot about number 2. You didn't even tell nobody you didn't like them saying that stuff to you. And some of you didn't say anything because you're like, well, she's 50, she's 60. No.
So what we want to do for those of you who got a strong clapback spirit, and for those of you who are tired of things that people say to you repetitively, I want you to practice saying how you are going to disengage that from the beginning. That at the very first one, you're not going to throw a hand grenade. You're not going to destroy Thanksgiving dinner. That what you're going to do is say, hey, you may not realize this, but I do not like when you say those things to me. I do not like when you say those things to my children. I do not like when you say those things to my husband. And I am asking you not to do that. You need to practice that, because if you have quick comeback in you, you are not going to pull yourself back in the moment.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Jesus, let's keep going, guys. Listen, if this is blessing y'all, can y'all give us some heart, some fire? Like, please. And can y'all pray for me?
We should have practiced this.
You should have practiced. I am on script. You should have practiced. Right. You should have practiced. Crystal is right. You gave your best work at Ed Talk today.
I might have to do relationship one-on-one on days I don't do Ed Talk.
Clearly. So now what are we going to do? We need to delegate responsibilities. We need to delegate responsibilities. Even for us, when the kids were small, who wrapped gifts, who put gifts together, had a lot to do with what was going on. Some years you bought, I put together. Some years I bought, you put together, right? And so that is so important that we delegate, right? If you got a new job or if you had a new baby and you normally brought 4 things to dinner, you need to say to somebody, hey, I don't have capacity.
Right.
There is nothing wrong with saying, I don't have capacity for this. It is not weak to say that you don't have
That's right.
capacity for
That's
it.
right.
It is strength to say, I know that you are used to me doing all of these things, but I cannot do all of these things.
Mhm.
That this is so important.
It
I
is.
love it. Listen, Jared, I appreciate you, Jared. Jared said, we love y'all dynamic when we teaching. We thank y'all so much, right? So we want to get into the point that we're sharing holiday preparations, that maybe it's not always at the same house, that it's not all that and we want to be considerate. Okay.
Yeah, right.
So if somebody just had a health scare this year, but we always did Thanksgiving or Christmas at their house, guys, we don't just want to assume that we're coming over there. If somebody just had a baby, if they lost a spouse, if we know somebody lost a job, we want to be considerate, because one of the biggest things that I think happens in families sometimes is a lot of times I see people say, we don't have any big mamas anymore. Well, I'm just going to give you my feedback as a woman. We don't have a lot of big mamas anymore because we watched a lot of big mamas work themselves into the grave. Don't nobody want to be big mama. Nobody wants to be responsible for taking care of everybody. People showing up, eating the food, leaving, don't wash the dishes. So we want to make sure that we as a family are making it easy for everybody. It should be a given. One of the things that I love when our tribe is together is that if somebody cooks, somebody else is going to clean the kitchen. Somebody else is going to run to the store and get all of the groceries. Nobody should be doing everything. And we should not be okay, especially those of you who my age. You should not be okay with the fact that your mama, your grandmama, your auntie them is so exhausted that they can't eat. Let me just say to you, you too old for that.
Yeah.
You're too old for that. Now you got to do something.
And again, I'll go back to what I said earlier about communication, because one of the things you said is, let's say that somebody had a health challenge early in the year, right? And we've always done Christmas or Thanksgiving at their house. You don't just make the decision to call everybody and tell everybody we're not going to their house this year. You should communicate with them and ask them, hey, how are you doing? I know we usually do Christmas at your house. Would it be okay if we did it somewhere else? How would that make you feel? Are you up for it? Because if you just
you back in the zone now, babe.
Well, I'm just saying, because if you always do it at someone's house and then they had a health scare and you're trying to be helpful and plan it somewhere else and you don't communicate with them, that could feel like you just took something from them. And so that can create rifts in relationships.
Absolutely.
So I can't stress enough how important it is that you communicate with someone. You communicate, ask them the question, hey, I know that this was going on. We know we always did Christmas at your house. Do you still want us to do it there? Would it be helpful if we came over and cooked earlier? Would it be helpful if we did this? You know, we can still have it there. Or would you feel better if we just had somewhere else where you could just come and sit and enjoy and then go back home when you got ready? Communication is key. Most people can work through anything if both parties are willing to communicate.
Let me ask y'all, we're just through we're going to speed up the rest of these, but let me ask you something. How many have learned at least one thing that you say, if I implement this, we could potentially improve? I could reduce my stress and we could potentially improve the holidays.
Yeah.
This is right.
Yeah.
So number 6, plan ahead. Plan ahead. Create a schedule or checklist for holiday activities, meals, and events. Planning ahead reduces last minute stress and allows you to manage your time effectively.
Planning is your friend.
Planning is your friend.
Especially during the holiday season when everybody is ripping and running and everybody's got to go somewhere and Christmas gifts and need to be wrapped and people calling. You know, you also have to make sure that you're managing the things that's happening around you so that everybody else's emergencies don't become yours.
Absolutely.
So you need to plan ahead. Give yourself more time. If you know that normally it takes you 30 minutes to run to the store and get back home, you know everybody is out. Give yourself 45 minutes or an hour. So now you're not stressed because what normally takes you 30 minutes took you an hour. If you knew that, you could plan that out. And in that way, if it takes you 45, well, you get that 15 minutes back. Just plan ahead.
I love it. Tracy said, my mom communicated to us that we aren't opening gifts at her house this year. Basically, she said, keep y'all kids at y'all houses till we eat dinner. She has a right to say
shift.
that to shift.
She has a right to
say,
shift.
I don't want y'all over here all day,
Yeah.
right? Listen, so we plan ahead. Number 7 is we want to avoid sensitive topics. I need everybody to put this in the comments. Avoid sensitive topics.
Intellectual boundaries.
Intellectual boundaries and emotional boundaries.
Yes.
This is not the time for you to sit at the dinner table and tell somebody so-and-so ain't they real daddy.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the time for you to ask somebody how they feel getting out of jail. This is not the time for you to talk about somebody who having an affair. Avoid sensitive topics. Do not use people in your family for your gossip at the dinner table.
And remember, different people have different triggers. And so you have to be careful in mixed companies that you're not triggering people because you're talking about things that really shouldn't be spoken of in general company, even if it's your family, because families are not monolithic.
Families are not monolithic.
They are not the same. Even people within family structures view and see things differently, right?
Because the truth of it is there are very engaging, debating conversations that we would have with the tribe that we wouldn't have if we were with our family.
In fact, you can insert 1 or 2 other people with our tribe and we immediately don't have those conversations.
We immediately don't have those conversations. You know what it seems like? It seems like that there are a lot of people.
Right. Don't black cake the folk. I watched that series, so I know what you're talking about.
It seems like that there are a lot of people who don't understand boundaries in communication.
They don't.
And just because it's okay for us to have this conversation don't mean I want you to bring it up in front of everybody else, right? And I think we really need to work on, like Keisha said, a ride to the store with a cousin, go get all the information anyway, so you don't have to do it
in a group.
Right.
That's right. You ain't got to bring it up in a
group
setting. That's right.
And I love what John said. And don't use Thanksgiving and Christmas and holidays as an intervention.
Right.
I say this all the time as a pastor. I used to post this at least once a year. There are a lot of pastors, and I'm going to insert family members, that do not understand that they get cussed out because they have good intentions and wrong implementation.
Terrible execution.
Terrible execution. Terrible execution.
Because if you think I got a porn addiction, the time to bring that up is not when we eat at the dinner table when they ask me to pray. You start praying about it, Lord, deliver so-and-so from his porn addiction. I'm about to tear this whole table up. I'm flipping everything over. That's not the time to do that.
And you left us again. And you left us again.
No, I'm trying to help the people. I'm trying to help them.
No, I think this is terrible execution. And I have watched people get cursed out just because and then they talking about, come on, Sean.
Right.
I know, come on, Sean.
Come on. You should have thought about that when you tried to expose me.
No, not come on, Sean. Help me with this. I'm not helping you. I don't have nothing to do with this. This was not the place for this conversation, right? And so avoid sensitive topics. Number 8, practice.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You done talk.
You
done talk.
Okay,
so
here.
Just let the people see them.
Number 6, we said plan ahead. Okay, got that. Number 7, we said avoid sensitive topics. Right? Okay, you got to avoid the sensitive topics. You don't be trying to expose people who have no intervention. And then number 8,
practice patience and empathy.
Mm-hmm.
Practice patience and empathy. Listen, if your kids is teenagers now, leave the people alone who got little kids. When your kids was little, they was bad and crying and their nose was knotting too. Calm down.
Right.
Like, calm down. Oh, I can't stand to be around these kids. Well, everybody here, baby, said your little bad kids when they was a calm down.
And it's okay for you not to be around kids, but then understand that boundary that kids are going to be there. So if you don't want to be around kids, don't go. It works both ways. Again, it works both ways. You don't get to make people with kids feel miserable because they got kids because you don't like little kids. If you don't like little kids in the gathering, the space is open to little kids. Don't take your tail to the gathering. It's really that simple. It's really just that simple. Exactly, Courtney. Well, go home.
Well, go home.
Go home.
Go home. Be gracious to your elders. They may tell the same story over and over again. Listen, they're getting older. Capture those memories. Don't. And listen, I don't know if I told you this, but Crystal was on the phone with me. I don't know if she's still here. I was in the store the other day, and there was a lady who was my age, and she was with her mother. And she was mad because the sweatshirt she tried on was too tight. And so she was yelling at her mother, who I could tell was getting, when mother's not necessarily, she ain't the mama no more. She kind of becoming the kid in there. I literally stopped and stared at that lady. Crystal asked me what was going on. I was about to go off on that lady for how she was disrespecting her mama in that store. I wanted to mush her in the face for that. You don't treat your elders that way. You don't. Listen, your mama may be telling the same story all the time, but you know what? When you was in the first grade, she listened to you tell the same story over and over again. Chill out. Don't be so rude.
Yeah.
Don't be so rude, because at some point, if you keep living, you gonna get older too.
And see, I absolutely 100% agree with you that you don't treat your elders that way. In my mind, I also go, but I don't know what their dynamics are. I don't know how her mama treated her when she was a kid. I don't know what those ladies have been. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying I always try to look through both lenses before I make a determination and judge it. Now, did it look rude? Absolutely. Was it rude? Absolutely. Should any human being talk to any other human being like that? Absolutely not. But before I would have, I'm just saying for me, before I would have had that thing that I want to mush her in the face, my mind says she may have beat her tail unmercifully when she was a little kid, and now she got the anger.
Then why bring her clothes shopping with you and ask her opinion?
Maybe she wanted to get her back. I have no idea.
But she definitely needs somebody to help. Go to bed. I'm serious. Go to bed.
No, I have no idea. I'm simply saying I see it from both places. That's why you got to do number 9.
Be nice to people.
That's why you got to do number 9.
Pray and cast your care on God.
That's why. I was trying to set you up.
No, you weren't.
For number 9.
No, you weren't.
You got to pray.
And you definitely
cast your care.
You definitely need to
pray.
On God. On God. You surely need. Matter of fact, you need to start the January fast tonight. When you feel stress building, take a moment to pray.
Yep.
Ask God for wisdom to handle the stress that you are feeling. Listen for his guidance in dealing with those situations. Trust that God is a present help and guide you.
He is. He is a very present help.
No, really, you have to be patient with people.
You do.
You have to be kind. Kanan says this thing. I don't know if
that's the whole idea of empathy, putting yourself in someone else's place, right?
Kanan said something that's profound. Hey, she said this to you. She probably hasn't, because y'all are pettier with each other, right? Mm-hmm. This girl said to me one day, I did something and I messed up something, and I came back and I said, I apologize. I made a mistake. I shouldn't have handled it that way. She looked me in my face and she said, when you and Dad get on my nerves, I try to go to my room and remember that this is your first time doing this too. Mm. And I thought that is profound. And she said to me, because even though you've raised other 17-year-olds, you've never raised Kanan as a 17-year-old.
We never raised her. Right.
And she says, I try to remember this is my mom and dad first time living life just like it's my first time. And I thought, man, I started implementing that toward other people. I was like, this their first time. You should try it. You definitely should try it.
Amen.
You should definitely try
it. Amen.
No, think about what would happen if you just said, this is my mother's getting older. This is my mother's first time
being this age.
Mm-hmm. This is my father's first time being this age. This is my kid's first time. What if we gave each other that kind of empathy and prayed?
That kind of grace.
That kind of grace, and said, okay, God, yes, I'm frustrated, right? But even in something like this, you go, I'm frustrated because my 21-year-old didn't remember this. And then you would go back and go, well, when I was 21, would I have remembered this?
Sometimes, maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know.
And I want you to embrace this.
I'm saying yes.
No, I want you. The Crystal said, you so petty, you're not even going to try. I want you. No, I do. I want you.
Yes. You can't always. I think you have to be careful about the comparison thing. I'm with you on this the first time. But I wouldn't want to ask myself when I was 21, was I making those kind of decisions? We were married at 22. We had a kid at 23. We worked full-time jobs and was in school at 23. I'm not asking someone else to be 23 and to do the things that we did the way we did it.
Somebody say, do not erase this. What is
I am not.
No, but here's what I'm saying.
Not erasing it.
But yes,
I
but
think
you
that's
also
beautiful.
weren't emotionally intelligent then.
I wasn't.
So it is possible that you wouldn't have done it that way.
It is possible. That's what I'm saying. I'm not comparing it. I'm saying that it's a beautiful thing. She's never said that to me, but it is a beautiful thing. She is right. We've never, even though we've raised other kids, we've never raised her at 17. She's right. It's our first time doing it. And so the grace she gives us is the same grace we need to give her when she's messing up for the first time at an age she's doing something. I agree with that.
What's number 10?
Create traditions. Establish some new traditions.
Oh, babe, what I'm not finna do tonight. Babe, what I'm about to
Positive
do.
traditions can help you shift the
But babe, what
focus
I'm about to do.
of the holiday gatherings away from potential sources of stress, whether it's a game night, a charitable activity, or a special holiday meal. Creating enjoyable traditions can bring the family closer together. So you create new traditions.
I don't think that we have ever, in the 12 times we've done this, these people have never seen us more authentic as this moment right here. They have never seen us because you have done what the people call the absolute most tonight.
Now, let's be honest. Let's be honest. Come on, we're being transparent. Look in that camera. Have I really done the absolute most?
You done a lot.
Have I done? Oh, I'm gonna ask you one more time. I'm gonna ask you one more time. Have I done the absolute most?
No.
All right. We can show them the most. Okay. All right. All right.
All right, we're getting ready to go. Does anybody have any questions? You know what I always want to know. I want to know what your big takeaways are, and I want to know if you have any questions. And I want you to know that we are still working on. We are still working on. Hopefully, we will have it ready by February.
Hopefully.
Strict.
I'm saying hopefully. I'm with you. Hopefully, we'll have it ready by February. Tell them what it is.
That basically we want to do a relationship 101 retreat. And we were gonna do it just for married people, but we want to add it.
A destination.
We want to do a destination.
Relationships 101.
Destination and relationships 101. And our 30th wedding anniversary is coming up in August. So we are looking at the month of September. And so we want to do that. And so we're working on it. We're looking at a couple of resorts and trying to make it work.
All-inclusive
resorts and just getting away for a few days and having a lot of fun. And we're not going to just do it for married people because a lot of y'all singles are actually a lot of fun and y'all hilarious. And we would want y'all to be at the space, right? So that's what we're working on. You are going to see dates for January. I don't know if we're keeping the second week, but we're going to work on it.
Yep.
We're going to work on it, right? So let's see what Keidra said. You know people know your facial expressions, don't you? Right. Takeaway. Robin says her takeaway is to show grace to others, especially those who are challenged in extending grace to themselves. They are the ones who usually need it most. Right. Which may mean that Robin has to reduce her time with somebody in order to be gracious to them the whole time. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Shavonda says this was a really good laugh and learn. I look at myself and my relationships. Thank y'all for being so transparent. Elle says key takeaway, honest communication. Michelle says, would you consider writing a clapback ebook?
No,
he won't.
No.
And stop asking questions like that. Stop.
I'm not writing a clapback ebook.
Effective communication. So out of the 10, what was your favorite? What's the one you're really gonna work on? I think we did a pretty good job tonight. I derailed it a little bit because I got caught up in. But listen, number one, let's talk about it. Number one, set realistic expectations, right?
Number two, use effective communication. Number three, make sure you've established those boundaries and those who are interacting with you know what those boundaries are. Number four, self-care. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. Making sure you do those things that help you to de-stress. Some of that could be number five, delegating responsibilities to other people. Don't try to do everything yourself. In this season, make sure you're planning ahead. That 15-minute run to Sam's Club may turn into a 45-minute run. Give yourself some time, plan accordingly. Number 7, make sure you avoid sensitive topics. Don't be trying to do interventions and bust people out and all that other kind of stuff. Number 8, practice patience and empathy, which is patience is not this idea of just putting up with. Be consistent. Don't let other people's moods change your moods. Practice emotional intelligence and have emotional boundaries, right? And then show people empathy. Think about if the situation was reversed, how would you want someone to respond to you?
Absolutely.
And then number 9, pray and cast your cares on God, which you ought to be doing every single day of your life, right? It shouldn't just be a holiday thing. You should be doing this every day. But maybe you need to be more intentional during this season. And then lastly, don't be afraid to create new traditions, because new traditions can be great.
I love that we started this talking about new traditions. And so one of our new traditions is that we are going to at least try a destination Christmas to see how we feel about it. Keidra said number 10 is big for him. He'd love to start something that is valued enough to continue for years to come. Latoya says that she's got to do better because she realized that her boundaries has really been ghosting. And that's a big thing, because sometimes our boundaries and ghosting, we think they're the same and they're not.
Yeah, because a boundary is actually an established limit. Ghosting says, I've had enough, and the other person didn't even know you had enough, and you just go out on them.
Yeah. John said practicing empathy was powerful for him, right? We want everybody to have an amazing Christmas, an amazing New Year's season. We want you to give yourself permission, even into plan in 2024. What are some new traditions you could do? You don't necessarily have to start with a big holiday. You can start with something like the 4th of July. We're going to do something different from that. We're going to try it. Those of you who have kids, like Keidron and Mish, you could bring your kids in and get some ideas from them, because they're old enough to be able to give you some information like that. Keidron said like a Fort movie night. Remember the time we did that, right?
I saw there. I was telling him that what we, as grown folks, remember we made the whole downstairs into a fort, and that was.
We had like 20 adults over, and we came over and made like forts. It was amazing,
large enough that we could sit under in different sections. It was really fun. Chris probably remember that too. But
so Trey said my takeaway is to plan and delegate. I'm not cleaning up, cooking, then cleaning again while others have a good time. I love that.
Come on, girl. Come on.
So we thank you guys for hanging out with us. Look forward to season 2 of Relationships 101, and look forward to the retreat that we're going to have, the getaway destination, something. We don't know what it's going to be called yet, but it's going to be fun. And we're looking at September. The thing we will say is that it will either be September or October, depending on what we can find, right? My takeaway is remembering that people may have had similar experience with others, but never had those situations with me. That alone has changed me. I think that's beautiful right there, right? This is beautiful. We love you guys. Have an amazing Christmas. We'll see y'all all on social media. Pay attention to the schedule. We're going to get back to promoting real big. Make plans to come with us on the retreat. And thank you for giving us 1 year. We appreciate it. God bless you.
Listen, if you are a partner of Fellowship with Champions, don't forget to join us tomorrow for prayer and for Refresh Bible Study. All right? Love you guys.
And if you're not a partner, you want to be, come on over there.
Come on over. Go to focchurch.com. FOCchurch, one word, .com or .org. It's one of them. I think it's .com. FOCchurch.com. Scroll down to the very bottom, fill out the partnership thing, and you can be a partner with FOC and join us in all this wonderful stuff that we're doing. There it is right there. FOCchurch.com. All right. All right. Love you guys so much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.